Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs. Is it really? Start again. Hello, my name is Tabs, and welcome to episode 136 of the Grove Podcast. Hope you're doing well. A bit better than me at the moment, but I know we're a bit late with the pod, so sorry about that. That was due to me being out of the country for a few days, doing a bit of a run in Athens. So yeah, apologies for that. But we will try to do our usual review of the game, but hopefully a bit more reflective rather than reactive, and we'll try and put it into context in terms of the Liverpool City game, the last batch of games we've just gone through between the international breaks and the season sort of as it is at the moment and as a whole. So let's crack on. And joining me today to remind you of a game you most probably wanted to forget is Jamie. Jamie, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad at all. And I don't think it was that bad at all. I thought it was quite an entertaining game of football, to be honest. And yeah, no, come on now. Don't start just forgetting about draws away from home up in the northeast against the team that's in form. You just it's not losing at home with Southampton.
No, true. I think context, and I think it's the manner of how it happened, and yeah, the implications of like with City and stuff like that, and we'll get to that. So no, to be honest, yes, right. It was an interesting game, entertaining one for the neutrals. There you go, neutrals. Hope you're happy. And if you're neutral listening to this, well, why? But yeah, I as I said before the game, I wanted a boring 2-0 win like all their other ones. So, but we'll get onto that. And before we do get onto that, as always, favour to ask if you can leave us a nice 5-star rating on the podcast apps, whether you believe it or not. That really helps spread the word and gets us into the ears of others. And said it has been happening, and we've seen a growth in subscribers and followers and the likes of that. So we do appreciate that. The word is being spread, but we want to spread it further. So thank you very much. Anyway, on with the show. And as always, Jamie, what was your highlight and lowlight of Sunderland 2, Arsenal 2?
Highlight's really easy. Just the Trossard goal is just an absolute banger, isn't it? So it's impossible for it not to be. Low light, David Raya's goalkeeping for the second Sunderland goal, unfortunately, does have to be called out. I don't think I've ever thought he's not a brave goalkeeper, but he really wasn't brave in that particular altercation. I thought whether that's a bravery about his own personal harm that goalkeepers in general tend not to have a problem with, in fairness, or whether it's more about the bravery of not wanting to give away a penalty as well, which is another thing I thought might be going through his head in that position too. But either way, that's his. That's got to be it for me. So
okay, interesting.
Yeah. Going 2-1 up and then 2-2 were effectively the highlight and lowlight for me. But it was, as I said, an entertaining game of football. Really enjoyed it, and I could have also picked as a highlight the Daniel Ballard's performance, which I really enjoyed because even though it was against us and even though he was the best player on the park, I bloody loved Daniel Ballard when he was in the 21s. So I was actually really, or the 23s as it is now. I was really, really delighted to see him playing such good football, and that's been a slight highlight of Sunderland's start to the season as a whole for me.
Yeah, I did think you might go down that route, and I guess you don't begrudge him it. And look, he's part of the reason why Sunderland obviously got up. He scored the winner against Coventry in another late winner that took him into the playoff final. Yeah, I did think you'd be calling out his performance, and yeah, no, the boy did good. But the boy is 26. So
He does feel a bit odd. He was with the 23 till he was about 23. In fairness, he played with Saka, but he was about 2 years older than him.
Wow, but he's quite baby faced. You'd think him growing any facial hair is sort of a nigh impossibility. So he's always going to look quite young. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll touch on the rare goalkeeping. I think there's, like everything, there's potentially explanations and so on. But yeah, I think like you, I had the highlight. Trossard's Thunderbastard of a goal. I put it here. Yeah, it was an incredible hit. It's interesting. So we talked in the last pod about not being excited by him when we see him on the clean sheet, on the team sheet. But he does come up with big goals, and he played really well on Saturday. And he's
all round game on Saturday. I thought that was a
yeah,
real Trossard. Really,
yeah,
really good game. You talk about Trossard or Trossard is what I was kind of refer to, and
yeah,
that was a proper Leo Trossard game. And for me, it was the moments leading up to it as well. The shift of his body, and he was doing he was certainly when he's on form. He's got that confidence, hasn't he, to try and shift the defender about, maneuver them, and try and work space for himself in a way that, when he's off form, he doesn't bother doing that. He seems to just try and run through people, which he's not able to do. That's not his game at all.
no.
But yeah, he was, he created the space for himself really beautifully with a nice feint of the body. And yeah, just did the unexpected, I guess.
Yeah, and he seemed really up for the fight on on the day. He seemed to be a bit of a motivator on the pitch. Yeah, he scored the goal, but before that, he played a superb little pass into Zubimendi to a real clever ball for a chance. And yeah, they said again. Again, it's that juxtaposition that you're not excited by him, but bloody hell, he delivers. I mean, since he joined Arsenal in January of 22, he ranks 13th amongst all players in goals plus assists, with 58. So he's got Salah and Haaland, Heung-min Son, and the likes of that Isaac and De Bruyne, and he's 13th in that list. And it's incredible, for what we paid and the output he does. This year he's got 8 goals and assists in all competitions, so he leads the way from an Arsenal perspective. And he's now scored as many Premier League goals as Nicolas Anelka and Andre Arshavin. So and that goal he scored was very Arshavin-esque against Liverpool. Just the way he hits it into and it's still rising into the roof of the net, which is always spectacular. So yeah, we're not excited by him, but he certainly delivers. So it's incredible. My low light was the fact that was not the winning goal. It deserved to be the winner, and then we'd be just eulogizing about that goal, and you'd be getting the replays. And it's one of my lowlights, but I did want to call out, considering we're calling out Trossard for that goal. It was a bit of a low light that he didn't get that goal to be the winner. But my main highlight was, and again we will talk on it, was the use of substitutions. And the thing is, primary reason why we didn't hold out for the win. I mean, we only made one sub, and that was on the 87th minute for Eze off for Mascara. And you could tell in that game we were knackered from 75, 80 minutes. We were just running out of juice. Just needed something just to lift a bit of energy. You didn't need the skill. And look, if he was going to go defensive, just commit, just do it properly. Bring Norgard on, bring Hincapié on, bring MLS on, bring White on, just fresh legs. You can have White in front of Timber. You can have MLS in front of Calafiore. You can have Nordgaard, instead of Zubimendi. Hincapié just run around and just be a nuisance. And because that's maybe just what we needed, just fresh legs. If we weren't planning on holding up the ball and we didn't have any centre forwards to bring on to hold up the ball, then just go all in. And look, Sunderland changed their whole front three on 63 minutes, all very similar in size and stature, and they brought on 2 others, and you could see though they just had that little bit of extra energy, towards the end. And look, we almost hang on, and 2 minutes here there, the narrative is different, but it's yeah. So he's got better with substitutions. We noticed that, the way he did at City and stuff like that. So it just seemed a bit, don't know. I just felt like it was a missed opportunity there to not do something to affect the game, considering how it was panning out. We were going to sit in. So right, just do it properly. So it's a bit of a shame. So on to the lineup. Look, I don't think there's much to talk about. It was exactly what I thought everyone thought it would be. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Eze, Trossard, Saka, Marino. I mean, given where we're at, we didn't really have much choice. And yeah, were you expecting anything different? I mean, I certainly wasn't.
No, very definitely not. It was absolutely as expected. As you say, it's with the players available. the strongest team I think that he can put out, and that's precisely what you expect going up there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so in terms of the game, and yeah, statistically, we dominated as you'd expect. We had 65% possession to their 35, 0.44 xG to our 1.9. They had 6 shots to 17, 2 on target, 2 goals. We had 7 on target, 4 big chances. We missed 3 of those big chances. So yeah, statistically, I think it went as it expected. But just in terms of, look, I know you enjoyed it from the neutral perspective, but in terms of how the game played out, how it panned out, and how it ended, yeah, what was your overall feeling from from an Arsenal perspective on
I weren't a
the
neutral,
game?
mate. Just because I like Xhaka and Bella, I don't mean you're neutral. No, I enjoyed it even as an Arsenal fan. You can enjoy your games that you don't win. That is okay. So yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, yeah, I thought I agree with your point that we did look a little bit leggy at times later on, and I think first half felt like some players struggled to get into the game a little bit. I thought Saka was a bit quiet. I thought we weren't really getting that joy. I thought we looked a little bit slow across the team. Second half, we just first 20, 30 minutes of it felt like, right, okay, brilliant. We got one of the kosh here. This is going great. Everybody's energized. We're being brave. We're winning the ball high up. We're doing everything that we're supposed to do. We're doing exactly what we want to do against a team that's actually being super brave against us. We're seeing a really good game of football, and at the moment we're on top, and we're just going to turn the screw here. That was really enjoyable to watch. It was a really, really good spell, and then as we know, things at the very tail end go the wrong way. But I honestly, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I thought there was a lot of good things about us as a team. I don't think that we were horribly bad. I think Sunderland are a very good, very well organised, very physical team that are playing less games than us. This is one of the advantages of being a team that be your newly promoted mid-table, whatever the hell you are, but when you don't have to play in Europe, that are playing at the moment with the freedom of knowing that they are more than likely already well clear of a relegation battle.
Well, on that
also
note,
with nowhere they need to get to at any point now. This is just free reign ambition. How good can you be?
I
No
mean,
pressure.
on that, yeah, no team has ever been relegated who's been in their position.
No.
So they're. I mean, no one's ever safe, and there's still the magic. Well, it's not 40 anymore. I think they're still looking for 30, 35 should be safe. So you're right. They are playing with that freedom suggest and that maybe freshness. In terms of them being good, I always struggle with this, and maybe this snobbery, and I'm trying not to be snobby because we have it with our corners and who we are. So I guess it's more a case of maximizing your strength, and I think that for us it was a really tough game, and Sunderland maximised their strengths. So very physical, very aggressive, which I don't know, aided a bit by favourable refereeing. It's a bit like playing Newcastle, where it's teams from the northeast, they're allowed to get away with a bit more than other teams, do, and so yeah. But also they're very energetic, very direct. Look, they know who they are, and they maximise that. And
I think that's a bit harsh, to be honest.
well, yeah. Tell me, am I
they
being
are.
harsh? Am I being harsh? Because I'm trying to
This is
struggle to see some of the quality there.
it's a young group with a reasonable amount of quality in there, I think, and yeah, I would probably say they're probably some of those, if you were to kind of draw out the diagram of where their strengths are, then the physical side might well be quite dominant for a lot of them, in fairness. But there's also there's some massive quality in there with the two central midfielders. I think Enzo Lefebvre is very, very good, and was prior to him going to Sunderland last season in the Championship was a massive, massive coup and a massive surprise. Because I think they spent about 15 million on him, but also he was expected to go to a better French team or a German team. That's where he was expected to go, not to the Championship. Granit Xhaka obviously is there, who's just been winning everything with Leverkusen off the back of having a couple of fantastic seasons with us. And then there's some really good quality players there. The likes of Nordi Mukiele have been quite keen to see more of him.
Mm.
Habib Diarra, I think, looks phenomenal. Adingra is a really interesting player. Like there's a lot of good footballers in there, I think, and I would not be surprised if half of this Sunderland team of the younger guys, go on to have really well-rounded, fulfilled, top class careers.
Mm.
Not to say they're all turning out for Man City and Arsenal, what have you.
No,
but they're top half of Premier League kind of players in the long run. I don't think the whole team is,
No.
and maybe to a certain extent that's what you're getting at. They're making the most of it in other regards, but no, I honestly think it's a decent team, and it's that usual thing of there are no bad teams in the Premier League at the moment, really. Well, there are, but most of them that are bad are bad because they're poorly organised. You look at West Ham; they've got great individuals there still. They've still got a decent set of lads. A couple of one lad who really would have hoped to have been in the France squad next year, who is not going to make it by a mile. A bunch of other good guys down there. They're just poorly organised, and as such, they're shite. And they might get better now that they have a new manager. We'll see. And there's a bunch of other teams like that. But that tends to be the difference in the Premier League now. So if you get a team with these, kind of individuals as well managed as they appear to be, then fair play.
Yeah, no, indeed, and maybe it's just a bit of one-eyedness and a bit of bitterness and stuff like that. Why aren't you lying down and letting us win? And but that's not the way it works. So and look, but they had, but I do think they maximise their strengths. They know who they are. That I talked about it with Andy about this. That you're right. It's their organisation, that physical strength, that just constant running and hassling and harassing us. And that's what you can do. Well, why would you do anything
Huge
different?
part of our game plan, to be honest with you,
exactly.
I've got to be honest.
Maybe
we've been celebrating all year the fact that we are. Yeah. I love the fact we are more physical than the vast majority of teams in this league. We can run faster and longer and harder than most of the teams in this league, and we, I honestly, mate, like let's face it, it's a huge part of the Premier League right now, and this whole, people talking about the Stoke City FC of the Premier League and everybody going Stokey.
But it's different levels. But no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm pleased that you're putting me in my place. So that's good. I accept that. But then we also showed good resilience. So I think we we sized them up a bit. We had to see what we were facing, how we were going to get through it, and we've been doing that a bit this season with certain teams. But we showed great resilience, the game to fight back. And like you said, I think we played some of the best football we've played this season, the second half.
I'd agree.
But I just think the fatigue from 3 consecutive away games, and okay, Burnley, Slavia Prague, but it's still away. It's still something different. And the lack of substitutions, be that through choice or options, just left us vulnerable, and we just couldn't hold on for that little bit longer. And it was gutting. We were all like there. It was just a real sucker punch. I thought we was like, oh, we're going to make this. We're going to make this not easy. And also there were the goals we conceded were sort of uncharacteristic mistakes, which in a way is good because it's not tactical. It's not sort of anything underlying. It's just a performance thing on the day that came as a bit of a shock, and especially considering how defensively miserly we've been. But he said it's not structural, it's not tactical. And look, our run of wins and clean sheets was always going to end at some point, and it's never going to be easy. It's always going to be a bit painful. We were never going to go through the rest of the season unbeaten and not conceding. So, and we've earned points this season through late goals, and we've had players miss chances against us. They could have scored. So the variance went against us, and and the familiar tale from last year. Arsenal have conceded 3 goals from their last 4 shots on target faced. So we experienced that a lot last year, and eventually sort of football can sometimes catch up with you. And look, even Arteta, he said like after the game about the clean sheet run ending, so a pain in my tummy. I don't want to concede any goals, and I think we all felt just that pang of hurt when they both went in, but especially that second one. I mean, before we get on to like the first and second half, with the fact the substitutions or maybe fatigue from 3 away games, do you think we could have done more in the Slavia Prague game, as in made subs earlier, not played Saliba or Gabriel or something like that? I don't know, maybe this is easy in hindsight, and maybe they didn't have the toughest of games once we went 2-0 up, so they're just having a stall in the park. But yeah, is there an impact? I guess, yeah. Would you put it down to just us not holding on? Go.
Yeah, there's always that's always something that's a suspicion with games like this, isn't it? And we've had criticisms of Arteta's use of the squad previously. I don't know that anybody stood out necessarily as being. I didn't kind of look at. There's been times where I've looked at Declan Rice, for instance, and gone, God, he just looks absolutely gassed. I don't think I necessarily looked at individuals and thought that they looked gassed on Saturday. I think I more just looked at us as a team and felt it was more almost like a collective tiredness. Maybe that the intensity um, of the run of games had just kind of got to a point of, just right, let's just try and get this one out of the way, sort of thing. And maybe that led to a bit of complacency. But no, I don't know. I would suspect there's probably some legs in that. I just can't point to any individual kind of error or this should have been done or that should have been done that necessarily changes things. I think subs on the night wise, yeah, I definitely think it's a bit easier to pinpoint that one in this performance and say I would perhaps have expected a bit more freshness to be about on the park in the last 10.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I don't think it was a game too far. It was literally just 5-10 minutes too far. That's it. It's just surviving that 10 minutes, and maybe you just think, right, the players I've got here, they can do it, and most probably 9 times out of 10 they do. But yeah, again, football's not like that, and the opposition have a chance. And look, and we were holding out. I mean, from the time we were in the lead to that goal, Sunderland didn't have a shot. So we were holding them out. Yes, again, it's that usual thing. It looks under pressure, but we weren't really under pressure. And then just something happens at the end, which is avoidable, but we didn't avoid it. So I think that's just sometimes where it goes. So onto the first half, and I think this was almost perfect first half for Sunderland. As I said, we said they were physical, aggressive, they harried, they hassled, etc., etc. But also the disruptiveness of the first half, either with fouls or injuries, intentional or unintentional, we couldn't get any rhythm. But also with that, they can rest they can recover and they can get their rest and recovery back during those periods where, like, Marino was down for a time and Timber was down for a time. I think we had 7-8 minutes extra time, and those are quite valuable in all these free kicks and all these throw-ins, which takes like minutes, etc. It's valuable for them if their game is based on energy. Having that rest, that ability to recover, it helps. And also the two stats from the game. In the first 34 minutes, the ball was in play for 23 minutes. No, sorry, not 23, 13 minutes. And then by half time, it was 23 minutes ball in play. So for teams that rely on, say, more on their energy, more on their physicality, that's perfect for them, because again, the ability to rest and recover is in between. And they go 1-0 up. They're hard to break down. Their home record is really good. So for them, that's the perfect half for them. In terms of sort of incidents in the first half, what did you make of the Marino Dan Ballard elbow to the side of the head? Any issue with it, or?
So it was funny actually because I watched the game without the volume really, because I was post rugby watching it in the booze and what have you, and it was it to me, I didn't really even notice it. I only kind of found any furore about it afterwards because I wasn't keeping an eye on any chat groups or anything at the time, particularly in those early stages of the game, and it just sort of breezed past me. And then watching it back since, I've been a bit like, oh God, I can't believe that people are even really discussing it. I don't see it really. I get the point some people have made about if that happens in midfield, you tend to see a yellow card, etc. I'm not sure that you do. I think Ballard's got his arms really supernaturally in just the way that you jump up and spring for a ball. And I don't think it was particularly dangerous. So I don't know. For me, it wasn't a thing, but I do understand the point because you definitely do see stuff given in midfield for it. You do. But I don't necessarily agree with that in midfield half the time as well. He's not racing in, and this is probably the key difference actually to some of the more genuine ones that you see outside of the box. They tend to occur when somebody is racing in to head the ball with their arms in that position, at which point they become absolutely a bloody weapon, and that is endangering another player at that stage. When you just go up like that and you leave your arms, you're not going to endanger a player. You're not going to catch them in such a way that you're going to hurt them quite seriously. You can potentially impede them, but I think you catch him after he's already headed the ball, right? So it's for me. No, it's I didn't really get it.
No,
What about you?
It's ones that we're sort of used to it, and it's one of those ones you question whether we should be used to it, sort of thing. Because he's stopping Marino getting to the ball with his elbows. if you say it like that, then that makes it sound different to, to type thing. So he's blocking that, but then again, I'm trying to think the equivalent with your feet and stuff. And I think it's one of these ones in the too hard bucket. So let's just carry on type thing because. I can sort of see the argument both sides, partly because we're used to it, but if anything was to happen quite seriously as a result of something like that, then maybe people might change their mind. So I'm sort of sitting on the fence, but more towards footballing incident and move on. And look, all the discourse that I've seen, like I tried to catch a few videos of it because you're right, it does pass by, and they didn't really show it back over and over again. VAR did check it, saw nothing wrong. A few of the old refs on Ref Watch and whatever have said nothing wrong. Again, is that old school, and we should be more concerned about this sort of stuff, or are we being too sensitive? It's a tough one.
People are going to catch each other, right? It's
Yeah,
football, right? I'm fairly for a softly game to a certain extent, but I don't like the endangerment of players, and I do think I don't get that rose tinted about. I get somewhat rose tinted about the big physical battles of Vieira Keane, but I also think a lot of those penalties, a lot of those tackles, absolutely deserve to be fouls today. I'm not one of those that will go about going. People should still be able to tackle like that. No, they shouldn't. It broke people's legs. It ended careers. It's not good.
No.
It's not. That's not a good thing. But I do. I did. Yeah. In this instance, I just don't see where the endangerment is. And in terms of the impediment, I think for me it was within what I would expect players to have license to do effectively. I really struggled to see the massive Ferrari.
Yeah, no, indeed. Okay, so then again, so that we, after that, there was a bit of us. We had a chance with a free kick from Rice, which was well saved. Eze also had a chance that I think he should have done better with, and he sort of puts it over the box instead of sort of getting on target. Isidore is another sort of nice player. I remember seeing him in the Championship last year.
Yeah.
Bit of a nuisance, a lot of energy. Again, and he had a chance, but this was sort of characteristic of who we were yesterday. They were letting the ball bounce and uncertain defending, not taking control, and eventually he sort of breaks and he has a chance that he puts wide, and then the sort of the incident that led to the goal was in 36 minutes was when Zubimendi received a bullshit yellow card. I mean, I don't think it was even a free kick, let alone a yellow card. And there'd been a lot worse before then. And it just seems like he was the victim of the accumulation of Sunderland's fouls or our fouls, whatever. And look, even if we do give away a free kick there and it's in their half, halfway into their half, we should be able to defend what comes next. But before we get onto that, I mean, I know I was sort of like, everyone was pretty unified in terms of that's bollocks, basically, Pawson.
Yeah, so, I would agree that one 100%.
There you go. Yeah, and you could see the shock in his face, and it's like, what the, okay, give a free kick, fine, but a yellow card. It's like he even won the ball. But anyway, enough of that. So then there is a long free kick, and this was their tactic. Everyone gets up the field. Long free kick from the goalkeeper inside his own half. Rice doesn't really challenge Ballard. I don't know what Rice does, and then they both miss the ball. which I didn't realise. So I was thinking, oh, that's offside because I'm sure Ballard hit it. In the heat of the moment, you don't see it, and I could have sworn he'd got a head to it. So I thought, oh, that's going to be offside because the bloke was offside when he headed it back, but actually didn't get a touch. He ran off the back of Rice. The ball dropped in our area. Gabriel then doesn't sort of do anything to sort of challenge the second ball, and then Ballard runs off Rice, lands in the perfect position at his feet, takes a touch, slices it inside the near post, and 1-0 1-0 Sunderland, and yeah, just a few mistakes there. So I think Rice and Gabriel look at themselves thinking, yeah, that's not good. That's not good enough. And
It's one of those weird ones for Gabriel. I think he looked a little bit like he was going one way because he thinks somebody's going to make a connection with it. Nobody
yeah,
makes a connection with it, and that wrong foots him because it ends up bouncing where he's moving away from.
yeah,
Because nobody's expecting it to just drop there. It's meant to go left or right. It's meant to come up, and it just as a result of it not making contact with anybody, he's moving that way, and he's a bit sort of unsure. As you say, the kind of the way the second ball starts, then I think for a moment, then he's also thinking Saliba's going to sweep over. And I think for me, if there's any more blame there, it's probably more Saliba. I would say Gabriel's in a bit of a difficult spot there because he's got I can't remember the name of the lad who then gets the other touch on it before it goes over to Ballard, but he's got him
I
there.
think it was Isidore. I think it was
Isidore,
Isidore.
yeah. And then for me, it's more Saliba that's probably not picking up a position to sweep across and just kind of hoof that out. But I think a big part of it is our team is not used to the ball bouncing in our box.
No, well, that's the thing.
Happen. Just does not happen, and that I think is just one of those moments where the communication wasn't, or the understanding between the two wasn't spot on. I think it was probably more shared between the two than anything. And I wouldn't really want to apportion blame as much as to go, right, lads, what happens when a ball bounces in the box?
Well, you doesn't.
Yeah. A, you don't let it, and B, one of you's fucking sprints there, and I don't mind if two of you sprint there to a certain extent either. As long as you get there first, you get there first, and you get that out. But you don't, you can't have it bouncing that way. But that was a little bit of collective responsibility for me in that respect, at least, anyway.
And that's why it was uncharacteristic. And I said I pinpointed that moment beforehand, and sort of something just wasn't right. It was just something was a bit off. Even just being that split second behind the eight ball, as they say, then that can be sometimes enough. If you don't want to be varianced, which we were. So anyway, so 1-0, and look, the crowd were well up for it as it was, and look, they're all loving it. Then there's 9 minutes of added time, and Saliba actually had a chance to atone for the defensive collective error, where he whacked the ball over from the sort of the penalty spot after Saka nodded it back to him. It just happened to fall to the wrong guy, wrong person in the right place, or he still could have done better. And if it had gone in 1-1 at half time, I don't think anyone would have been complaining too much. But it's just a shame didn't happen. And then second half, much better from Arsenal. I think Sunderland started to tire, and that's maybe sort of part of our game plan. Like recently, that we haven't been great first half team, but then maybe we're like death by 1,000 cuts. We just sort of like wear teams down, and you could see they were tiring. We got a grip on the game. We were playing, passing, moving much better. Zubi, Saka, Trossard in the main. Everyone stepped up, but those three in the main were the ones. And we sort of like, Eze had a shot blocked in 46 minutes. Zubi had a shot in the 50th. Keeper easily saves. Saka on the 52nd minute, again, he had a shot. It was set up superbly. It's I was watching a highlight. Zubimendi putting a lovely first-time pass into Saka's path, like inside left position. He dragged his shot wide, and then 2 minutes later, again, Rice looking to atone for the first. Did really well to win the ball from Lefebvre in the middle without giving a free kick. Because one of those easy ones, you've seen it so many times. He can see what's happening ahead of him. He just needs to win the ball. And a lot of players do is they get so excited trying to win the ball to get the opportunities that they give away a foul. But he did so well to win the ball, not give the foul away. gives it to Eze. Eze plays it first time Marino. Marino just waits for Saka's run. Again, perfect pass. I think Saka took it a bit wide, but then twats it, low right hand corner inside the near post, and you think, oh, goalkeeper should be doing better there. But you look at it from behind, he hits it so hard and just in that one spot that you can blame the goalkeeper a little bit, but it would have been really hard to save. So
it's funny that you say perfect pass. That I was at the time in that split moment, because it didn't take long, but that split moment I'm going just Trossard, because he's Trossard is absolutely airing it down the left, in acres of space. There's just that, the two players have both come to Marino, right? He's sucked them both in, and he's got his head looking firmly in the direction of the
yeah,
right and playing it into
play the
Saka.
way you're facing.
Yeah, but I was just there going like, whoa. I mean, I think because also I thought Eze potentially would go across as well and play him in. And then I thought, oh, no, even better. Marino sucked in another defender. There you go. Lay it off. Trossard's got this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was actually, if anything, I looked at it and
Interesting.
for that split second, I'm going, oh, shit, he's got the wider angle. But yeah, I mean, Saka's always been fantastic in those positions, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
And
no
right
doubt.
foot as well. So I
Yeah.
don't think he's got a wrong foot.
No.
So
Not when
so
it comes
yeah,
to
but
finishing, has he? Not at all.
no, is good. Yeah, when it goes in like that, it's class. And but an interesting stat though, that's his first away. Saka, yesterday's goal from Bukayo Saka was his first away from home from open play, so basically non-penalty since April 2024. So so he hasn't scored an open play goal for quite a while. So good to see him back
I
in the
mean, large
goals.
swathes of that period have been injured, in fairness.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
I guess there's an element of that, and you got the whole summer, so it sounds a lot longer
Mm,
than it is. But I guess that's
yeah.
11 games this season and maybe like 6 towards the end of last season, sort of thing. So yeah, you'd expect him to maybe get a few more, but anyway, it is what it is. Let's hope we see more. Then look, and again, we were well on top now, putting the pressure on. Eze had a shot, sort of volley from the edge of the box, straight to the keeper. Zubimendi, similar to Saka, was put through by Trossard. Again, a great little pass through the legs of the defender. He puts it wide. Then Sunderland make their subs on 63, so he's seen the danger, and he's like, okay, look, the game plan, we need to get the ball out from our defense and hit our forwards, who
Mm.
need to be running around a lot. Zubimendi had that shot off the crossbar that would have been so sweet had that gone in. And then the Trossard Thunderbastard. I think you talked about the way Trossard manoeuvred the players. I think also it's that typical thing. Calafiori makes a run down the left. The
Yeah.
defender's then caught in two minds and does neither. So he doesn't. He didn't get anywhere near Trossard, and he was nowhere near Calafiori. So it opened up the space, but it's still got a lot of work to do there. And he twats it into the top corner. And it said we haven't seen that sort of goal for a long time, and what a hit. And we're thinking, okay, right, job done. With 2-1, we're not going to lose from here. I think a lot of fans were thinking that, not going to lose. And then, just don't know. So just the energy levels dropped, and they were sort of threatening. There's a couple of chances, and so onto your Raya point.
Mm.
Raya twice before the goal came out and was quite brave in making saves and challenges at players' feet. There was even the one time he saved it and he didn't know where the ball was. sort of Gabriel shouting, "It's behind you!" Almost pantomime time. But yeah, so he was in that mode, and he often comes out, and you always praise him for the way he comes out and collects the ball and so on. And I think he was sort of in that mode. And I said he did it a couple of times. And so onto the goals, that was sort of there was 7 minutes of added time. And actually before then I was thinking, don't give it to Saka, do not let Saka shoot, because you just knew, I could just sense it was coming. But then, so in the 94th minute, there was sort of a cross came in. I think there was Gabriel and Brobblery were tussling, and if anything, I think Gabriel was fouling Brobblery, not the other way
Yeah,
round.
I would agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
pulling on him, and they sort of all just sort of bundle into one area, and he manages just to hook his foot round it and just get it. And you're right. I'm not sure what Raya's doing. So I think coming out for it is fine. It's the way he came out for it. He came out low, and it seemed
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really weird.
He's looking to anticipate it dropping down, isn't he? But the problem is you've got two fellas heading towards it. You've got to just, to me, at that point, it's that thing. I mean, it's not far off the first thing with the second ball of going,
Yeah,
just be there first.
yeah,
Just be there first. Why are you trying to have it drop? Meet it high.
yeah.
And he's got all the time. That's not a ball where it's he's got plenty of time in the world to
Just
anticipate and
punch it.
go
Even
high.
you don't have
And
to catch. Just punch it. Even.
bloody beauty of being a goalkeeper is you get to use your hands. That gives you a little bit extra right over the top of the other two lads if they're
Yeah.
going for it. So it was a really strange one. And the only thing I could think is sometimes when you do go high in that position where there are players coming in.
Mm.
And you end up going through the player. Even if you're going through the player to get the ball, you end up giving away a penalty. And maybe
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I could think of in terms of, say, that bravery, because it's not bravery in terms of physical harm that I'm referring to, but bravery in terms of the risk of potentially giving away
Yeah.
a pen is about the only thing I could really see.
It just
But
looked weird.
either way, it's just strange, and I don't, I think he goes home with a lot of regrets over that one, right? But
Yeah. But we can't fault him too much. Again, I think he was just in the game state and the way he is. But the other thing, or stay on your goal line, you just catch it. That's always easy to say, I think, because it's very rare that if the ball goes in wide of him and you say, well, why have you stayed on your line? So no goalkeeper really stays on the line in that position. So I think it's just the manner he came out. But also, I think if you look closely, it flicks Gabriel's head as he kicks it, which just changes the trajectory of the ball over Raya. If it doesn't just clip Gabriel's head, it smacks Raya in the face. So I think just lots of things just didn't go away in that goal, and
You think it did? You think it is his head? I've watched it about 10 times over now. I
I've
swear to
no,
God. All right.
so I think I can't remember one of the podcasts listeners who said that it might be an Ice Vision. So I went and had a look, and it's just great. It's just
It does.
enough.
It does. I've watched this about 10 times. I've just watched it again. I'm like, no, it actually does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it just enough to change the angle to go over instead of it just smacking into his face, and so
Yeah, Robbie's got a little bit lucky there, hasn't he? But
yeah. Well, look, he does well to get to it, to wrap, just
yeah.
the angle of his body to get to it, to tussle, and all the rest of it. Look, again, these things happen. It's it's a striker's goal, as they say, sort of thing. Avoidable, yes. Happens, yes. Again, we could have done better in uncharacteristic Arsenal, but then we still could have won the bloody game. Jeez, in the dying seconds, I can't remember who crossed it, but Calafiori at the back post. Don't know, could he done better with his header? I think you just get it on target. Keeper's there, gets his body in the way, falls to Marino, and it's one of those ones you want. Don't go in and whack it straight because you know what the defender's going to do. They're just going to run in front of it. So you want to just sort of, in a way, lift it up. Instead of hitting it straight, you want to just sort of side foot it up into the roof of the net. I know it's easier here and all the rest of it. You just think, just put your foot through it and hopefully it ricochets in. But Ballard also does really well and just puts his body in the line right in front of it. And it just gets blocked and goes out, I think, for a corner or whatever. So, but yes, it was interesting. We still had the chance to win it, and that would have been amazing. But it is what it is, and it ends up being 2-2. And Arteta, conceding so late, he said, I'm unsatisfied because I want to win. The game was almost there, but this is the Premier League and the manner that they play, they're going to harm you in their way. It's just one goal difference there. I'm frustrated because it's an action that we can defend better, but as well, you have to give credit to the opposition to do what they've done, to put the ball there, to head the ball the way they've done it, and then the striker to do the action to put the ball in the net. Sometimes you have to do that and recognise that as well. So he seems to be fairly, he understands the issue, but he's fairly phlegmatic about it as well. So ends up 2-2, which in isolation, I don't think we take as a bad result, given the game, given Sunderland and everything. I think the frustration comes from the wider context, and we'll get onto the wider context and potentially the opportunity missed. But if you think about how good we've been and what we've done so far, to get a draw away to Sunderland, who are sort of doing well after 3 games away in a week, sometimes you just take the point. And there were points when it was 1-1. I think take the point and go. It's just when you're 2-1 up with 3 minutes to go, you just can't help feel about it.
Mm.
So, on to your 3-word reviews. And I was thinking about starting with these because they really summed up the game perfectly in multiple ways. So thank you as always for sending these in, and really appreciate it. So for those that don't know, after every game we ask followers to send in their 3-word reviews of the game. Funnily enough, when we win, you get a lot more than when we lose. People are more inclined to revel in the glory. But yeah, so on Threads we had Stig of the Six who said missed the bench. I think we did. There was Folkestone Camera Bike. He said Sam Allardyce's Bolton. Now I think he's referring to Sunderland, which, based on what we've just discussed and the way you sort of reframed it, I think it was a bit harsh to be calling
Don't know,
Sunderland.
it's that bad. Latter day Sam Allardyce Bolton was a bloody good football team. JJ Kocher, Yuri Jorkaev,
Yeah,
Christoph Dugarry.
well, yeah, Djorkaeff, and I don't think and what was the Spanish defender as well? Forgotten his name.
Ivan Campo.
Campo. Yeah, I don't think he's referring to that. But
I mean,
we'll
if he's not, then great team. I loved that Bolton team. I thought it was a really good football team.
Indeed. Nicky
There's
Guna,
not only
08.
one way to play football, all right? There's not only one way to play football.
I know. Nicky Guna, 08. She's more inclined with you. Open, even, fair. There we go. Very nice. Groovy Cathers, 2. A tricky draw. It was indeed. Strauss stuff. Grueling. I didn't get this. 116 minutes. Was it 116 minutes? It seemed a bit.
Were there 8 minutes? Was the
9 and 7? 9 and 7,
seven?
so 50, 52, 50. Anyway, there was a lot. Maybe anyway, there was a lot of extra time.
That's 104 minutes then, though.
Yeah, I think there was a miscalculation there. So either that or I'm misreading something. Bertie Piper 4. We missed Victor. I think we definitely did. I think not having centre forward options towards the end of the game to have an outlet. We missed that. Even Joyce joined the game. Someone like Marino doesn't occupy defenders. If you have Victor occupying Dan Ballard, is he going to be being a menace in the other box so much? So it is. But
hang on, he's including half time. There we are.
there we go.
There we are,
Nicely.
mate. Right, he's including half time. Surely.
Nice. Well, hopefully half time wasn't grueling.
Presumably it's the half time angst, right? Because the game's not going our way. I'm with him. I've got him. All right, that's fine.
Well, good.
I mean, I don't think it was grueling. I thought it was entertaining, but I would have found it grueling probably if it was at the Arsenal. That would have been a bit different.
Well, talk about grueling. My heart rate in the second half was twice my resting heart rate. Now, I was doing a marathon the other day, and I'm the following morning, and I'm meant to be relaxing and just like keeping everything chill. My heart rate was twice what it should have been for that second half, and that's
that probably just made your resting heart rate my heart rate. In fairness, mate, all the time. So that's,
it was nuts. So Kai, and so on to Blue Sky. So we had Kai Jansen. Too many injuries. Yep, indeed. Gunner the Jack, he was very blunt. Fuck this shit. I don't think he took it as well as you did. But on to again more sort of Gianluca, my boy on TikTok said everybody calm down. True. And Moz of this parish, relax, we're top. So I guess there is that element as well. So we are indeed still top, and yes, we should relax. Draws happen. And on to the Grove. So Normie, I think he wins it. It's daylight Brobblery. So
absolutely superb. Oh, Norm, you've outdone yourself, mate. All right. He should I mean, that's like peak 90s back page of the Sun, isn't it? That really.
It is indeed. So nice one, Normie. I think you get a prize for that one. Sensi, disappointed, can't lie. Yeah, I agree. Charles said, "Cheers, son." Dylan crying. Yeah. Josiah, 7 minutes, really. Sasha, I feel sick. And there you go, the voice of reason, Jamie Payton, the man himself, just a hiccup. And for me, I just said didn't have enough. And there we go. So thank you for those. Again, I'll put a call out for these after every game, and yeah, send them through. We like reading them out. They're always a bit of fun. So, what does that mean for where we are? So, look, here's a few things to put this into context. So between the last international break and this one, we were 1 point ahead of City. We're now 4 points ahead of City. In the Premier League, we've played 5, won 4, drawn 1, scored 6 against 2. So that's 13 out of 15 possible points. We beat Brighton 2-0 in the EFL Cup, and we beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 and Sparta Prague 3-0 in the Champions League. So we're up 7 points on the equivalent fixtures from last season. Would you have taken that 4 points ahead of City, 8 points ahead of Liverpool?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I know. It's sort of leading into, but 6 points ahead is better than 4, and it's just that nagging feeling. So the reason I'm putting this into context and is that if I work backwards, we could be, by the time we play Tottenham, only 1 point ahead of City. Okay, so it's just that buffer, and maybe it's just
this is a league, and it is.
Yeah.
It's November. To be frank, a 6 point lead at this stage was absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, we take a step back on that. There's no doubt about it. It is a step back, and it is a step back that comes off the back of a game that we could have won, and that's disappointing. But it can be disappointing at the same time. That can be one element of, as a whole, being very pleased where we are, very pleased with the season as a whole, and feeling that game was not in any way, shape, or form the end of the world or problematic in and of itself. That's at least my sort of take on it. I don't I don't think there's any point almost in obsessing about that one game, and I highly doubt by the end of the season that this will be a game that we obsess upon in the way that we have some certain games in the past. The Villa game, the Brighton game, the West Ham game, the Fulham game. We know those. Yeah. We all know those games in the last 2-3 seasons now. I personally don't think that this is anywhere near any of those, because we turned up, we played well, we had some really good football at times. They absolutely turned up, but we did meet with them, and it was one of those games where, unfortunately, a couple of goals that we don't normally concede happen. Nobody's massively at fault, and I don't think it's in the same league as some of those games.
Okay, yeah, because I put here, am I being too pessimistic? And you're right. Look, we would have taken it beforehand, but we had the opportunity to be even better, and it's just because we've seen this from City, and Haaland seems to be inevitable. He's masking a lot of their issues. So I'm not saying they're a great team, but they don't have to be a great team if he can just keep scoring goals and no problem. And he never gets injured. If I touch wood, does that mean I hope he gets injured? I can't remember. From an Arsenal perspective, what's the alternative? But so it's just, you want to give yourself as much of a buffer as possible. Or it's just like, why can't we have it easy? Why can't we just stroll to it? Why can't we do what Liverpool had last season, where City didn't bother and we were injured, and just stroll to a league? Why can't we have that nice thing? Why does it have to be so bloody hard? And it's just a bit of that, child tantrum type scenario sort of thing, that think, if only, and so on. But yeah, you're right. I know if it's a league, and if you'd have given me this, you'd say, yeah, superb.
Go on, be proper pessimistic and read your little Albino stat that you've put.
Yes. So here, this is a really, really interesting stat, and it's sort of in terms of setting up the next lot of games, because if people properly analyse it, Arsenal have played 6 of the bottom 7 teams so far in the Premier League. Okay, and I think we've won all of those. But we've only played 3 of the top 7, and we've dropped points in all 3 of those matches. And now we're playing 2 more of the top 7 in our next 2 fixtures. So our next fixtures are Tottenham, then we've got Bayern Munich, Chelsea. So Tottenham at home, then Chelsea away, then Brentford at home, Villa away, Wolves at home. Okay, so we played 2 of the top 7.
The stat is not correct yet anymore. By the way,
Oh, is it not?
no, we've now actually beaten. We're now unbeaten against the top 7, because of the 3 teams that we've played. Manchester United have replaced Liverpool in it, so therefore. We've now actually, because that was a very interesting cut-off point. I always enjoy when people use unnatural cut-off points like 7th place, because of course we all talk about the magical top 7, the power top 7 of the Premier League, when actually that's not a fucking thing, is it?
No.
But it was cherry-picked because United, I think, were in 8th at the time, and Liverpool were in were at the time higher up even in the top 7.
But the point still stands. To a certain point,
yeah. I mean, to a certain point, it does. But I just enjoy when Albino decides to do these. Oh, let's go for some arbitrary number like 7th place in order to illustrate something that a point that I'd like to make.
Yeah. No, I see it, but I think the point still stands. As in, we've dispensed with the easy teams. We're maybe not so much with the more challenging teams. So I think that's what he's trying to say.
Team has better record against worse teams. Fucking hell, shock horror. It's pretty revelatory. In all honesty, though, I think if the sample size is so low, right? If you do extend it to that top 8 and you've got a win, 2 draws, and a loss, right?
Yeah.
You've got a draw against Manchester City, which actually might end up being relatively valuable. If we were to draw both games against City, then and you're relying on what we do the rest of the season, then to be honest, that might be pretty valuable for us in totality. The Sunderland game, we've discussed the context of, and we know that's not a massive failure of a game for us. And the Liverpool game, as we know, was just, it is what it is. But it was
injuries and too early in the season.
And that's
the Thunderbastard of a goal.
Yeah, and Anfield for big games. It's still a big game place, isn't it? But anyway, so that is what it is. But I personally think no, it's not a massive concern. But it is of course it's relatively interesting. But it also makes total sense as well that if you're going to drop points, it's going to be against the teams that are also at the top of the league. And I would imagine that there are other teams in the top 7 that are in a relatively similar position to that as well.
Yeah. So look, we're top of the league on 26 points. Okay, goal difference plus 15. Man City behind us on 22 points. They've also now got the same goal difference after spanking Liverpool very easily at the weekend. Chelsea on 20 points plus 10. Sunderland in 4th on 19 points plus 4, and then you've got a group on 18. You've got Tottenham, Villa, who've suddenly found some form. They started really poorly, and now look, they're in 6th. Man United on 18th, Liverpool on 18 points, and Bournemouth on 18. So all occupying 5th to 9th. So look, it is a great position to be in. I said, look, if you say you're 8 points ahead of Liverpool after 11 games, you'd be biting their hands off.
And also of those top teams that we've played, 3. I mean, if you extend it out to if you say it's the 7. There's only City that we've played at home. If you say it's the 8, then there's only City that we've played at home, right? So that's another thing as well. Those fixtures all have a return leg for us now, where it's going to be at the Emirates, with the exception of City. So that's another bit of context to add as well, is that similarly, if all of your games against the better teams are away from home, you're statistically going to have a worse record, right? Unless you're Tottenham.
I did write, is this a worry? Obviously not. And there we go. And look, so I say we've got those games. City will have sort of a bit of a run like ours after the break. So they play Newcastle away, which I think Newcastle at home is a different proposition, and that could be a difficult one. And then they play Leeds at home, Fulham away, Sunderland home, Palace away. So you're expecting, again, it's always that they're going to win all their games and we're not going to win all ours, and here we go again. So it's, as you said, it's a league. There's going to be ups and downs. We weren't going to stroll it as much as we wanted to. And look, the Opta supercomputer still has us winning the league, and actually by quite some way. It says I don't get their points because they've got us winning the league on 80 points. City coming second on 72, and Liverpool coming third on 69. We're 65%, chance of winning the league to City's 19 to Liverpool's 8. I mean, I'll take that. I like it a lot. I think the expected points total is low. I think we're currently on 89, 90 pace. City on 76 pace. I think it's going to take mid 80s, even towards the 90s, to sort of potentially win it. I don't know. Just 80 points seems very low. But Opta's got us, winning it, so we can put our feet up, can't we?
Yeah, I mean it is interesting on the points side. I mean Liverpool got 84 last season, so
Yeah.
that was one of the lower points tallies for quite some time to win the league with, wasn't it? I think. So it will be interesting. Maybe there is a bit of a correction occurring there. We talk about us from the league as a whole, but yeah, we shall see. I mean, that is the kind of points tally that used to win the league in the 90s.
Yeah.
And some of the early noughties. It wasn't really until it was bloody Chelsea that came and ruined everything. Really, wasn't it? You know, they turned it into you can't lose more, or you need to do 85 points plus, and then you needed to do 90 plus when it was City, and then it was then it just got really fucking silly for a few years. But maybe there is a correction back towards the norm that's coming. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, more teams taking points off each other, but I think in terms of the top two, I think maybe from Chelsea, Tottenham, Villa, United, Liverpool, they will take points off each other, and they will also lose because they're not so great. But I still think the top two will, I mean, City are already on 3 losses, but I don't expect the winners to be. Well,
But
this is
there's
interesting.
just there's more good, well-managed teams now, right? I mean, right the way through the league there is, but in particular of those, the teams that should be in a better position, Tottenham are unfortunately going to have a return to a decent year for them this year. There's no doubt about that in my mind. They look like a very good team. Chelsea, exactly the same again. Fucking hate to see it, but unfortunately the joke's over a little bit with them, and if I'm honest, the gags are well. I mean, I say it's over. It's not, because their fans are absolutely convinced that they were going to be Premier League winners. So actually, maybe the joke is not over at all. But the joke is becoming a bit more fucking dry. And similarly, the same with United. Actually, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm half enjoying them, to be frank, and actually sort of rooting for them a little bit, to be honest, because they've been that piss poor for so long, and it's probably only the same way as Mark Goldbridge is with us. To be fair, it's like I'm sort of looking at them now a little bit, going, "Oh, it's kind of look, it's working out for him. Trust the process, eh, Ruben? Yeah,
yeah." But then something felt. This is the thing. The thing with all the clubs that you're talking about is the consistency. They just don't have the strength in depth.
But they have but they have a lot of quality, and they're better organised. They're better teams than they were. This is far more akin to either whether it be the sort of the years where we had a real power four in place before it became a bit of a constant 2-horse race with who can catch City or who can catch Chelsea, and then latterly Liverpool. And it feels like there's also just strength all the way through the league, and to me it does feel like probably this is a season where we won't. I think it'll be another year where we don't see 90 points for sure. I actually don't think we will see 90. If we do see 90, it will be us, I believe.
Well, so we're on that pace now. I don't think 89, 90 pace.
We will. I don't think we will. I think we'll end up. Honestly, I think that's actually not a bad statistic, because you've got to bear in mind these are like these are almost to a certain extent the easy times, right? You've got the horrible periods coming up. You've got the Christmas fixture list. You've got the big European nights mingled with you going to fucking Villa Park and whatever, which actually won't be the case because we're going there this side of the Christmas, right? But nonetheless, you've got those sorts of nights coming up. You've got the just all of the kind of really nasty fixture bits and the pressure games coming up, and towards in the second half of the season. So I would be surprised if we maintain this pace. I would be surprised if City maintain their pace, and even if City do maintain their pace, if we, I still think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Good. We're winning a lot. Excellent. Okay. Well, look, I think we've done 64 minutes on a game that took place on Saturday. But no, good to chat, good to talk. I do feel much better, more optimistic now, having spoken to you, Jamie. So thank you for for that. And look, we will be back. I am away with work over the international break, so there won't be a pod in between now. But we'll look to do one pre-Spurs
What Tabs
sometime.
means is he has been called up by Italy.
No, I
They are
haven't been called up by Italy.
they are in need of a right back, so he's away. He's away on work for the international break.
I'm on international duty. Yes, unfortunately, I'll be working in India rather than playing football for Italy against Norway. If I was, there'd only be one thing that I'd be looking to do if I was playing playing the Italy-Norway game, and I'd be sent off straight away for it. Anyway, so.
Oh, sorry. Now I thought the first thing you were to go for was some kind of, like cuddling Calafiori.
Odegaard.
But no, right, okay, now I'm getting it. Yeah. I'm getting it now. I know Odegaard's not going to be there, is he? But no,
exactly.
now it took me a fair while to cotton on to what that was going to be.
Yeah,
listener, I do believe that we're talking about assaulting Erling Haaland in some way.
Absolutely, yeah. So the final game, Italy's final qualifying game, is at home against to Norway, and we need to win it to qualify for the World Cup, and they only need a point.
Do we need to have a word with Ricky? Do we?
Yes, we need to have a word with Ricky. To be honest, I'd sacrifice us not going to the World Cup for the third time in a row if it meant Haaland just being injured for 9 months. Nothing serious, just 9 months. But we'll see. Anyway, that's a long way of saying that there's that we'll be back just before the Spurs game to look ahead to that and again a bit more of a dive into the fixtures and up until Christmas and so on. So there we go. So again, thank you, Jamie, for joining me this evening and cheering me up.
Thank you very much, Tabs.
And look, you can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that jazz at the Grove AFC. As I said, if you like what you hear and you want other people to hear it, then please give us a nice big rating, follow, subscribe, and all that jazz. We really appreciate it. And it really helps, spread the word. But for now, enjoy the international break. Keep your fingers crossed for no Arsenal injuries, and we get all our players back and fit and fighting for which should be an interesting period, shall we say? So, thank you for listening, and until the next time, come on, you Gunners.